When he opened the sixth seal, I looked, and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth. The full moon became like blood. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who can stand? The popular belief regarding the great day of their wrath is that it is yet a future event, and if I have this right, it is called the Great White Throne Judgment. For a long time I accepted this view, but have not for some time. And why is this? Due to my understanding of the divine and universal principle of sowing and reaping, not to mention my continuing studies in the book of Revelation. The first problem with this belief is that it sees the white throne judgment as an event, just like the idea of the rapture. 1 minute we're here, the next we're not. 1 minute the world is moving along like it always does. The next minute, the rapture takes place. Following this is great tribulation. First, the Lord raptures the saints. Then, great tribulation begins for either 3.5 or 7 years, depending on who you believe. After this, he returns, but this time to judge the world from his great white throne. In the meantime, the believers just kind of go along for the ride. After all, this is his doing, not ours. We love events, and we especially love being proved right. Such is the result of the pride that has infiltrated the ranks of Christendom. Friend, it is pride that goes before destruction and a haughty spirit that goes before a fall. And it's pride that sows discord, separating us from one another because we don't always see eye to eye. Now, may I say it? I don't believe in the rapture. I believe in resurrection. Nor do I believe the great white throne judgment or great tribulation are events or in the future. And the best witness of this? Reality, as well as the scriptures themselves. Doesn't it make more sense that God would design a system that judges now rather than later? After all, how many generations have come and gone since all of this began? Would I be remiss in saying that he has designed a system that does judge us now? It's called sowing and reaping. It's for this reason that it comes up all the time in my studies. And remember, as I described in part 1, this principle is like an onion, consisting of many layers. I've said it before, and I'll say it again because I believe it's very important to understand the following. The great day of their wrath, the white throne judgment, great tribulation, and sowing and reaping are not events. They typify processes and the ongoing reality of what we have seen and are seeing since the days of Christ and the apostles, and even since the beginning of time. Jesus is not coming to rule. He is ruling now, and his throne has always been white because it typifies righteousness and purity of heart. What Jesus began in the flesh, he is finishing as a life-giving spirit. As for great tribulation, Jesus likened it to birth pains, so that we would understand how it begins in seed form and steadily increases over time. As all of us know, the worst pains come during the birth of the child and the birth cycle. This is the principle of sowing and reaping in action, is it not? And judgment? As stated, it's built into the system of sowing and reaping. Think about it. When we consider the idea that we reap what we sow, what makes us think it's after we die? Doesn't the Bible say that the wages of sin is death? So if that's true, and like Adam, we've all died, then aren't we already reaping the wages of our sin? By the way, death is not the aging and passing of this human form. It's a state of being. It's you and me conducting our lives out of our carnal nature, which is just another way of saying walking in the pride of the self. So why would our Creator integrate judgment into the principle of sowing and reaping? For the sake of correction. Why is this? Because God is our Father and we are His children. so he is obligated to discipline us for our good. But not everybody is his child, right? Yes, they are. Hebrews 12:9 says that God is the Father of spirits, and since everyone has a spirit, then everyone is his child. What do we think Paul meant by sons of disobedience and vessels of dishonor? Now, let me back up a moment. When I talk about sowing and reaping, I'm referring to both words and actions. For the seed that starts the cycle is planted in the hearts and minds of others by what we say or do, usually by both. Don't actions express thoughts, which are the substance of words? No wonder the psalmist said, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it, that is, either death or life, shall eat the fruit thereof." And again, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made." The fearful is the death in our tongue, but the wonderful is the life. The power of the tongue is knowledge, but eating fruit denotes actions. With this in mind, consider what Paul wrote. "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever one sows, that will he also reap. For the one who sows to his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption, but the one who sows to the Spirit will from the Spirit reap aeonian life. And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. So then, as we have opportunity, let us do good to everyone, and especially to those who are of the household of faith." Here Paul confirms our stance, declaring, "Let us do good to everyone." Truth be told, speaking is an action too, is it not? Of course, because unless I'm a ventriloquist, my mouth is moving. That's action. I know, I'm being a bit silly, but you get my point. There's so much beneath the surface if we're just willing to look. Now let's just be plain about all of this. Wrath is judgment. Judgment is discipline. Discipline is punishment, and punishment is correction. That is its purpose. So what about eternal torment or eternal punishment? You mean torture? It serves no purpose. And, dear brother and sister, God is not purposeless. And judgment after death? That's like saying, "I didn't discipline you enough as a child, so now that you're 50 years old, I'm starting over." But what about the Lord's remarks regarding everlasting fire, everlasting punishment, and everlasting destruction? First, I would encourage you to do a study on the word everlasting, then consider the following regarding fire. Now, if anyone builds on the foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, straw, each one's work will become manifest. For the day will disclose it, because it will be revealed by fire, and the fire will test what sort of work each one has done. If the work that anyone has built on the foundation survives, he will receive a reward. If anyone's work is burned up, he will suffer loss, though he himself will be saved, but only as through fire. Do you see it? The fire doesn't burn me up, it burns my work up. And what is meant by work? My actions. What I say and do due to the fruit I eat. That's it for this study, but be sure to join me for the next as we continue our look into the wrath of God.